we're going to do this morning, folks, is we're going to walk through the format of a clinic, a horsemanship clinic. And Deb is going to be the student. And I'm going to kind of show you what we do in a horsemanship clinic. And also, Deb's been riding this horse, and this is her horse, and da-da-da-da-da. So I'm going to do, one of the ways we used to do it, we're always changing it, but one of the ways I always like for people, and especially those people that are watching, is I'm going to give a number. And a 1 through 10 number, 1 meaning you can't back them up if you called a tow truck. 10 means they're backing up off of your seat in collection. So that's always the first thing I ask for. So Deb's going to walk ahead about 20 feet, and then we'll get started. She's going to walk ahead, just straight ahead 20 feet. Okay, now there's your angle for watching. Now what you want to watch is if the horse breaks at the withers, the pole, and the neck. So walking backwards, she has to take her legs off, and you can see. Okay, all right, now stop. That was considered practice to let your horse know. So now walk ahead and stop and then back up. And what I want you folks to watch for is an intentional step. In other words, the horse intentionally walks backwards. Now Deb is riding with her hand straight up as opposed to flat. You'll see her hand change compared to what she's doing. So part of the mind is focused on its mouth. And it's been ridden in a Western bit quite a bit, but it wasn't ridden correctly. So that's what you're doing. And a lot of people run into that with their horses that are 8, 9, 10 years old, and they wanting to redo this. Well, this is redoing. There, now it's starting to work. So the score she's getting from me is a 4 because of not releasing quite enough, and her hand is too high. All right, now watch the difference this time with her. She keeps her hand low, and if you're going to ride with your hand straight up, you pull the reins with your right hand and release them with your right. Touch the mane with your left hand. There. Now watch the change. There, see it? What I'm getting at is you'll feel the horse free up when you get your hand low. The reason your hand stays low is because it puts in a higher level of collection once the horse quits arguing with your hand. Now the argument here isn't like it's bucking. It's just simply checking out its options. Now stop. Stop. Now watch the ears of the horse. There. Now it's ready to go back to work. Now in one felt swoop, you're going to slide the rope, the reins through your hand, sit up, take your legs off. Now breathe. Lower your hand, it's too high. There, see how the head changes? Now the release is coming from her right hand, sliding through. There. Now stop. Okay, so she went from a 1 to a 5. She's 50% there on the backup. That's over. Okay, now I'd like you to walk straight ahead to that standard. Now you're going to come towards the camera 15 feet. Now stop. Now this is what actually happens in a horsemanship clinic. It finds out where you're at with your horse on all 4 corners. I would like you to move the hindquarter over 1 step. Your choice of direction. Your hand says, "Excuse me." And that is the polite way to tell a horse you need to bridle up because I'm getting ready to ask you to do something. They never know what it is, but they will listen to your body after a time. And then they're like, okay, I got this. Now, if you would please take 1 step the opposite direction. Now she's riding with a flat hand, but understand that the hindquarter is done with flat seat bones. You don't put pressure on one or the other to do the hindquarter. You stay flat and you use your leg by moving it back. Okay, now the horse is fine. And now I'm going to ask her to move the right front foot to the right 1 step. Now watch her hands. And she's going to use your index finger to show the horse direction. Left toe goes out, and bam. Okay, that's why the flat hand, you guys. You can send the message down through the rein to which way the nose should tip. Now you're going to go one step to the left. Now that's what happens, you guys. This is the reality of it. The conversation isn't clear. So you need to break it down and tell yourself, how well can I present myself to accomplish this? This horse in its mind is thinking, hindquarter, side pass, what is it? I don't know. Now you understand that it turned to the right, no problem. But this is the perfect example of that a horse has got two sides to his brain. Now, one more time I'd like you to try it. There, stop. Now, the stopping and waiting is what allowed the horse to sort it out in its mind. That's why you stop. Now, so far she's got a 5 on the backup, a 10 on the hindquarter, a 8 on the right front, and a 2 on the left front. So if you're a math person, well, thank you. That's where you're at with this horse. So now the next thing that's going to happen is the side pass without the pole. So you'll side pass toward the camera. She should be looking at the camera, and you should watch her right knee raise 1/4 of 1 inch. Now watch the right ear of the horse, and he'll look the direction he's supposed to go. The tip of the ear is the pupil of the eye. Good. Crossing over in front and behind. Good. Stop. Now go back the other way. Forehand has to catch up. Remember, it's not a diagonal, it's straight. The horse has to be straight. Good. Crossing over in front, behind. Okay, good. That's an 8. All right, now here's the funny part for me. It's not in humor, but strange. She's about to go onto the logs. And you watch the horse just now side pass, crossing over in front and behind. So now watch what the legs do with the logs incorporated. Now what you're going to do is you're going to side pass all the way around the logs, meaning that between logs, you're going to disengage the hindquarter. So everything we've done already is going to be incorporated in this. To disengage the hindquarter, your seat bones have to be flat, and you tip your weight forward so that you displace the weight and load up the forehand, and the horse knows that it's going to lighten up in the hindquarter.
You want me to drift onto the log?
No, I'd like you to ride around and get right in the middle of a log. Now, if your horse has trouble with the logs in the front feet especially, just put them just over the log like she did, and that'll keep them from stepping behind. Their heel bulbs will rub on the log, and they don't like that. Now she'll displace her weight, watching where she's going. You got to raise your knee. If you stick your foot out, you're changing the pressure on the saddle. There, he crossed. Hindquarter. Now there's 3 rules on the logs if you want to get a 10. Feet can't stop, hand can't move, can't touch a log. So for those of you that are moving on with this, when you can do that, you've raised to the next level. Now if you'll watch, he's not doing as well with his feet crossing. One of the reasons is because of the short distance. The other one is because there's logs there now. That's why I wanted you to see the difference of the two. That's what's coming from the brain of the horse. He's not sure, so he's afraid to cross his legs. A little trivia is when a horse crosses their hind legs, they have let down. They have said, okay, I surrender. If they don't cross their hind legs, they're telling you, I still need fight or flight. That's how simple this is on the hind legs. That's why we do a one-rein stop. You're disengaging the hindquarter, put the horse in neutral. I've never seen a horse buck with its legs crossed. they start bucking with their legs next to each other. And then after that, of course, most of us don't remember what happened. But anyway, now you're going to go the other direction.
And he thought I wanted to go the other direction right away.
Yeah, anticipated. So now you got to sit for that golden moment to let the horse sort things out. Because remember, if you drill on the logs, they'll show up and you can just sit down and read a book and they'll do the logs. That's not the point of this. The point is sit still, and now she's got a higher level of accuracy. She got a 6 on the first direction. You know, because some people like to do math and then they say, oh, well, that was a 7, so they've improved. Well, that's fine if that's the way you learn. Watch that left ear. It should flick right about now. Now this is the brain of the horse. How much am I focusing on where I'm going and how much am I focusing on what she's doing? Okay, when this is over, that horse's ear will just flick the direction it needs to go. So now we've done the logs, and I'm going to get on the horse and I'm going to do the exact same exercises, and then Deb's going to watch. This is what happens in the clinic. So Deb, if you can bear to sit on this donkey, I'll get on yours. We'll drop your stirrups one hole. Okay, folks, now I'm going to ride the horse. And Deb's the one that had this idea. So you need to know that in the marriage world, it was her decision to be critiqued by her husband, which happens about once a year. I'm fine with it. So the first thing I'm going to do is walk the horse backwards. I'm choosing to ride in a flat hand. Now, it's not cheating, but I watch the horses in the morning in the clinic, and I can skip a whole lot of things because I see them ridden, so I've got an advantage. Now, all I'm going to do is get the math right, which it's not there. My rein is too long, so I'm going to shorten up my rein first instead of playing with it. Then I'm going to sit up and simply take my legs off and ask this horse to walk backwards. There. Now he knows what I want. I'll shorten my rein again, sit up, take my legs off, and say, I need you to walk backwards. His left hip has already gone out of sorts, so I can do this. Instead of having to use all leg, I can help him go straight by using my wrist. So now he'll walk backwards, and the secret for me on this particular horse is that my legs are completely off. Hers weren't. Now I'm going to drop my legs and ask him to stop. So now I'll walk forward, and I'll drop my seat and ask him to stop. He's apprehensive now. Thinking. There, he's ready to go. Now I'm going to raise my hand half an inch, dish my spine, take my legs off, and ask him to walk backwards. Left hip again. I move my leg about 1/8 of an inch and he straightened out. It's clear to him. I'll say, excuse me, pressure, give it back. In collection, loose rein, there, intentional, and so the lesson to be learned here was I wasn't as busy with my hands. With her hands moving around, she kept sending all these different signals. That's why I hate correction bits, because when you start moving your hands, you're moving the bit. This bit doesn't move anything at all like a correction bit. There's very few loose joints in it, but there's enough to communicate. So that's the story on the backing. Now the hindquarter, she had really well, so I'm just going to over-exaggerate and lean forward and put my right leg back and turn my skull and ask for the hindquarter. Now I'm going to lean over, put my left leg back, and ask for the right hind. You don't need to walk a circle yet. All you need to do is for them to understand that means disengage your hindquarter. That's all there is to it. So now I'm going to walk ahead 12 feet, then I'm going to side pass. Now, I'm going to get the camera right straight in front of this horse. So my posture has to be as high as I can get so that my seat bones will be able to talk. I will look to the right, make contact with my left hand, and turn my left toe out and take my right leg off. Now here it comes. Good. Right front. Good. Now it's sorting out what I'm asking. It just figured it out. I'm topping it with my spur to pick up the energy. There. Now I'm going to sit up and stop. I'll look back to the left. My right seat bone is down because I looked to the left. I'm going to say, excuse me, so when my hand moves, it means you need to wake up. Now I need you to side pass to my left. Thank you. Now once again, the comparison for me personally, you get to watch this so you can do all the comparing you want. I'm not as busy with my hands as Deb is. And the horse appreciates it because he's like, okay, I got it. So now the forehand, my right shoulder, the way I see it, is connected to the right front foot. So I'm going to raise my right shoulder, turn my body to the right, which drives my left seat bone down, take my right leg off, and put my left leg on right now. Thank you so much. Now it makes the horses a little nervous when it's really clear like that. And I'm not sure why, but I'm telling you that he's getting a little nervous because, for whatever reason. But he's definitely clear as to what it is I want. So now I need the left front. I will raise my left shoulder, drop my right seat bone, turn my right toe out, and pull back on the reins to shift to the hindquarter so the left front can move out. There we go. Okay, now Deb is going to back the colt up, and she's going to take her legs off and say, excuse me, and sit up. Now, squeeze with both legs, Deb. Squeeze hard. Bump him. There, now put your hands down low and ask him to back up. There. Okay, that little bit there, all it was Deb's body transitioned to that horse. Her and I are the only two humans that's ever ridden him, and that's the way it'll be for a really long time.
It was also me being really apprehensive.
Yeah. That's a very good point. Okay, now I'm going to the logs to do the side passing. Okay, folks, this is a pouch that Deb got from a young lady named Kristen Allen, Twisted K Leather. So if you want something like this, it's kind of it's beautiful work. And what you need to know is there's a difference between carving and stamping. And you can tell that she's an artist. Okay. Just get a hold of Deb if you want one of them. She makes belts too. So I'm going to do the logs now, and I'm going to do them flat-handed because this horse isn't there yet to a straight-up hand. Another advantage I have in the clinic world, you got to know, which I'm sure you figured that out, is that I watch everybody ride in the morning, and they do these exercises. So the horse has already been here, so when I come here, I've got an advantage. But it isn't for me to conquer the horse. It's for me to show the human that entered the clinic to watch what I do on the exact same obstacle. And then they, in fact, can get on and go on from there. So now I'm going to go that way. So I will say, excuse me, and I'll open my right leg, roll my left toe, and ask this horse to side pass. Now, if you watch the ears, you're going to find out that he's still focused on his brain and not where he's going. That's why the apprehension. So what I do is I practice my collection and I watch the ear. And I'm telling the horse, don't worry about it. Free up. That's why I think it's important that you understand how a horse can side pass, and then all of a sudden they can cross their legs just fine because they finally let down. And the point of that story is you don't train a horse, you just outlast them. Just stay with it. Now I'm checking and releasing because I don't want forward. Leaning forward means hindquarter, he already knows that. Toe out more to wake him up. Sorry if you hit your leg on the log, that's not my fault. Here we go. Crossing over, and I'm done. Now, get over yourself. This horse, I think, is 5. Okay, 5-year-old horse means he's halfway to being on the payroll. I expect him to be able to hook up the gooseneck when they're 10. So that's what's going to be fun about this horse. He's teachable, and it's all here to have fun with. So I'm going to go the other way. And here's the way it works for me. Is when I get on somebody's horse in a clinic, I say to myself, how well can you present yourself? You know, you're the big deal around here. How well can you actually do this? That's the mindset. And then as I start moving, I take the feet as a given and I concentrate on collection. So, left hand to my left, excuse me, let's go. Leaning, hindquarter, stepping, hit your own heels, I don't care. Wake up, hindquarter. Now watch my right foot. I just stuck him with the spur because he's milking this deal. Hindquarter. Now when I roll my calf, it actually means something. He gets to make a decision. Do I want to keep contesting or do I cross my legs? He just crossed them. Good. Now you're fine. Go. Feel good about it. You're fine. Take off. Don't worry. You're fine. I'm working on collection. Oh, by the way, I'm done. So I'll let you make up your own mind, and I wish you would because we love hearing from everybody. And you can critique it. And if you have any questions, just ask the questions because, you know, it's usually just me babbling up here. But now we're interacting and giving you something to write home about. So feel free. Now I got to share with you about the smoke behind me. Because of my birthday cake, I lived to see something happen. And what it was called was the EPA. And what happened in the 60s, a lot of us in the West were connected to ranching and logging. And I had probably 20 people in my family that were loggers. And then, oh, by the way, in the 50s and 60s, it was a seasonal thing. So they'd log and then they'd go to Nevada and buckaroo on ranches. And it was just pretty common back then. All right, so then the EPA showed up and they started changing the forest rules about not fighting fires, whatever their rules were. The Forest Service is famous for a definite maybe. But my point is that logging was shut down and grazing permits were pulled because of environmental reasons to change the ecosystem. Okay, there were places in the United States that really needed it. Here's the problem. 1960s. 2020. It has gone full circle. So now we've got all this dead timber standing because the bug trees were never dealt with when they first came out. I remember. The Forest Service did not want to commit to cutting them down and thinning them out at that moment. They didn't do it. So they got left. So now we've got standing and or laying down firewood basically. The grazing permits were pulled because of the environmental reasons to clean up the watershed and the riparian and all the words with many syllables. Okay, that's all wonderful. It's gone full circle, now we're paying for it. Just because I have a cowboy hat doesn't mean that I am strictly just rancher. But I do know, having witnessed it, that we need to get logging and grazing done again correctly. There's 6,000 firefighters on a fire right now. Friends of ours up in Susanville country are sitting there waiting to see if their house is going to burn down. So it's personal for a lot of us in the West. Anyway, we're reaping what we sowed because of decisions made 3,000 miles away. So while I'm on my stump preaching, I might as well tell you, Nevada is a good example. That's my favorite state. Nevada can manage their own grazing. The livestock raisers in that country know what they've been doing for a really long time. I think that the state of Nevada should manage their own grazing, and it's of course monitored, but they're professional. Ranchers don't shoot themselves in the foot and eat all their feed. They always have some to come back to. So the simple way to solve this, if somebody can get a hold of Dwayne Combs, tell him I said hello, ask him to call me, which he won't. And he's one of the greatest guys I know, one of the smartest people I know. If you'd get him to head up the state of Nevada, he could get this whole thing lined out. There you go. I just solved a lot of problems. Have a nice day. Goodbye. Thank you. Now, my bride is riding Chinaco, second time in her life. Chinaco is wondering, what in the hell does she want? So Deb is going to explain to him. And this is my miniature dressage ring, because I figured out the dressage people are either cheap or they don't want to actually build a fence. And it works out pretty good for them, because they're not have the horse leaning on a fence like a horse show horse. The other thing that always makes me laugh is the letters inside the dressage ring that make absolutely no sense to me. I thought it was the name of some country in the Baltic. But if I were to put numbers and letters up on this ring, I would have WT on the short end, which means watch this. And down the long side, it would be YGTD, which means you're going to die. So there you go. Now I did mention to her to ride on the inside of the logs and turn the horse back. Good. The horse shifted to the hindquarter. That's what I wanted to see. And what you'll notice is it's doing it in spite of her pitiful offhand. So if you drop the rein, if you'll lay the left rein over the neck and ride with the right rein only, now walk inside the logs. Get going. All right, now when you're ready, I want you to raise your shoulder and turn that horse around. Now watch it shift to the hindquarter. Thank you. That's it. That was my point. Now my friend Reed in Texas, I'd like you to do what she just did on your horses, because what it does, folks, is if you're not holding the other rein, which is what you use to displace the weight to the hindquarter, and the horse will turn without the rear end moving, that means the horse has now learned to shift their own weight to the hindquarter. Okay, Deb, jog around the logs and then do an once. If anybody in the YouTube world knows what the word once means when it comes to riding a horse, please share with the group. Okay. I'm pretty much done talking about this. Thank you very much. Goodbye. That was perfect. What? That was good.
Okay, in addition to the saddle pocket that Kristen made for me, I wanted to show you guys this amazing belt. It's called a story belt, and so you get to kind of decide what you want on it. You can put any number of things. That buckskin horse is a horse drift we had years ago. That's a horse compañero we had years ago. That's Risky. We got the Arizona Desert. Beautiful carving. Then there's Gypsy, our bridle horse. And at the very end is my old dog Prize. So anyway, the quality of the carving on these pieces is just truly special. And anyway, Twisted K Leather on Facebook, Kristen Allen. And if you want some really special gift, or give yourself a special gift like I did, give her a call, contact her, email her, whatever. I'll put the contact information in the description. All right, bye-bye.